Welcome back to the Gentleman's Guide. Today, we're going to be discussing the secret to getting any girl. I really suggest that you guys watch the whole video because by the end, you'll understand something that most guys have no clue about when it comes to attracting women. Let me explain how I know this. The other day, I was catching up with an old friend from high school. We were just having drinks, talking about our lives and how it's changed since then, and I just couldn't believe the things he was telling me. He had spent the last half hour telling me how much his life had improved since our teenage years, and how he had managed to get into really good shape, and how he had finally found a job doing something he loved, making great money. He was even able to buy his parents a house because of how successful he had become. Hearing all this great news, I was so happy for him, but what he said next really caught me off guard. He started venting to me about how he and his longtime girlfriend had broken up, and how he was really struggling out there in the dating field as a newly single man for the first time in over 6 years. I mean, imagine how surprised I was hearing that. A handsome young man in great shape with an awesome job, secretly feeling lonely and frustrated because he was struggling to get dates. And it wasn't even as if my friend was weird or had a bad personality. He was super sociable, generous, and had a good sense of humor. For some reason, he had just never really learned exactly how to attract women. There are probably millions of guys out there that are perfectly average, if not above average on paper, that you figure should have no problem at all getting a girlfriend. And yet the reality is that most guys were simply doomed to have never been taught exactly how girls think or how to interact with them in a way that feels natural and also makes the girl attracted to you. Maybe one of the people watching this video right now can resonate with everything I just said. I don't know about you, but I can certainly relate to this feeling of frustration. I remember many years ago how confusing dating seemed to me. It seemed like the harder I tried, the less successful I was. I was way too much in my own head, and I had no idea what I was doing when talking to girls. I looked at the popular guys in my school and saw how effortless it seemed for them. I made a decision at that point that it wouldn't matter how long it took me, I was going to get to the point where I was attractive enough to have the quality of options that I wanted in my dating life. Having many eye-opening experiences with women throughout the years, I can confidently say that things have changed a lot. And out of everything I learned, I'll be sharing with you today one of the most important, central things I discovered that fundamentally changed the way I view attraction between men and women, and almost immediately started to improve my own results. Before I share with you the secret to getting any girl, I first wanted to quickly remind you about a fundamental principle of attraction. Most women are completely different from men when it comes to how attraction works, and these differences don't just exist on a superficial preference level, they exist on a deep neurochemical level, to the point where I'd say that men and women have evolved over thousands of years to have almost completely different brain wirings when it comes to attraction. You see, for most guys, we instantly become attracted to a woman when we see physical traits that turn us on. It sucks to say, but us guys tend to be superficial creatures. We care more about her looks than just about anything else. On the other hand, a woman is way more attracted to the way a man makes her feel rather than just the way he looks. She's far more turned on by his mind rather than his appearance. You see, a man's mind is his single greatest, most attractive feature. It's his biggest asset for bringing a girl into his own personal reality, and if he can show her that his mind possesses certain traits, then she will almost immediately start to subconsciously feel attraction. Which finally brings us to the secret that I discovered to getting any girl, which can be described as internal balance. Let me explain what this concept means. Imagine a balancing scale. This balancing scale represents two primal urges within all guys acting on each other, balancing each other out. On one side of the scale, you have dominance. On the other, you have loving kindness. A girl needs to see that within your mind or your soul that you possess both of these primal instincts. She needs to sense a balance within your character that is created when you cultivate both the hard and soft traits. You see, girls want a man who has both leadership and vulnerability within him, a warrior and a lover, someone who can be a stern, positive father figure for her child, while also acting a bit like a little boy himself at times when it comes to his playfulness and sense of wonder. A woman wants to follow a strong leader and, at the same time, she wants to take care of him immensely. Remember before when we mentioned that a girl is far more attracted to the way a guy makes her feel rather than the way he looks? This ties back into the secret that we just revealed, internal balance. You see, studies in evolutionary psychology have shown that dating back to when humans were in hunter-gatherer societies, women have evolved over time to become more attracted to men who could physically protect her and her children from ever-lurking danger, while also exclusively giving his love and resources to her. In other words, she needs to feel that you are the type of man who can both occasionally indulge in his darker primal side to dominate the competition and accomplish goals, while also having a sweet, gentle side to him that he will show to her and her children. chances are the place where you live today no longer requires men to protect women from wild, ferocious beasts that are running around eating members from your tribe. However, girls still need to feel that dominance side of the balance, because the primal dominance side of his brain that a caveman tapped into to fend off wild jaguars or hunt mammoths is the same side of a man's brain that's activated when he's putting in his blood, sweat, and tears trying to build a successful business in order to provide for his family. She needs to see the ambition, the leadership skills, the willingness to stop at nothing to achieve whatever goal is necessary for their family to prosper and live a happy life. When a woman enters into the presence of a man who embodies both the indomitable spirit of a warrior and the playful spirit of a child, she will respond to him with her entire being, her entire body. She will probably never want to leave him. An example we can see in our everyday lives that shows the accuracy of this idea of internal balance is in the book industry, specifically the type of books that women love to read. Let me ask you a question. Out of every book genre in the world, which do you think generates the most revenue? As in, which literary genre sells the most copies on a consistent basis? By far and away, the answer is romance and erotica. It was reported that in 2016, books under the romance erotica genre sold over 1.4 billion worldwide, which was almost double the revenue generated from the second place genre, which was crime and mystery. It's also been confirmed that the vast majority of people who buy these romance and erotica novels are women. If you observe the generic structure of a typical romance novel, you can start to see certain patterns across the genre that, in my opinion, reflects a lot about what women are looking for in the opposite sex and how exactly they want to be seduced. For example, a very common story structure with the romance novel will be the following. A mysterious, edgy guy, most of the time resembling some sort of bad boy persona, will be placed as the love interest of the female character, and at first, his rebel attitude causes friction between the two, but as time passes, he starts warming up to her, opening up more, until eventually they become close enough that a romance naturally happens. So again, seeing this formula of a strong, confident bad boy who eventually shows his warm side to a woman that has produced so much success for the romance genre, we now start understanding the concept of internal balance and why it's so effective. Women want to be able to feel the full spectrum of a man's emotional sphere, from his dark and primal side to his sweet and tender side. The truth is, there are very few men out there who have shown to have a very good balance between these two forces. Most men lean a little bit too much on one side or the other, either coming across as too competitive and confrontational without any sense of compassion, or as someone who's simply too soft, someone that will be nice to everyone but lacks a backbone to lead others. That's why cultivating both sides of the scale in order to promote balance is such a welcome breath of fresh air for most girls, and will immediately make her see you as someone that has lover potential. The reality is, women have such a strong need to feel both sides of a man's psyche that they would often rather stay in an unhealthy relationship with someone who sometimes treats her well and sometimes treats her inconsiderately than to be in a safer relationship with someone who's just blandly nice but has no sort of edge to him. To become a man with internal balance doesn't happen overnight. It's almost like walking a tightrope. The dominant leader side of him is never aggressive or controlling. It is firm and in command. And the childish playful side of him is never whining or pitiable. It is playful and beaming. Which brings us to some action steps that you guys can take right now to start developing both sides of the scale, so that when you meet a girl you like, you'll have cultivated the personality traits that will make her immediately feel like you have internal balance. First, we'll be starting with the dominance side of the scale. The first tip or tool to strengthen dominance is to be a social leader. More specifically, she should see that you treat people well and are treated well by others. Act as a social hub that gathers people together for fun activities. When you increase your social value in this way, you will start to gain influence and such with your friends, which will start to paint you as a powerful leader in her mind. If you're in an organization or club of some kind, apply to leadership positions so that you can learn how to deal with people in effective ways and eventually be able to influence them. The second tip is to exude dominant body language. Stand up straight, as this is the most important part of your overall posture. It is scientifically proven that walking at a slightly slower pace inhibits cortisol in your brain, which makes you less stressed and more at ease around people. In fact, if you think about high-status individuals or rulers in the past, you can hardly really imagine them running or in a rush because others are waiting for them, not the other way around. It's in this way that walking at a slower pace makes you come across as higher status, more powerful. Similarly, talking slower is also very good for exuding dominant body language. The slower you speak, the more people will cling onto each word and anticipate the next. All great orators in history were able to control the tempo of their voice, slowing it down in order to affect a larger audience. So when you talk to a girl, make sure to not be speaking too fast, because that will start to indicate to her that you're nervous. The third tip of dominance is to show physical prowess. There's few things you can do that will trigger women's primal attraction towards man more than by showing her that you have physical strength or to display some physical abilities. There's many examples to what I mean by this. I'm not saying that you have to be some sort of Herculean giant that can bench 4 plates, although I do highly suggest to start going to the gym to build some strength and mass, as that will be a huge factor in physical prowess. Taking up any organized sport is a great way to show physical skill, such as basketball, soccer, or tennis. Even generally non-competitive sports such as dancing is a great way to show her that you have physical prowess. The more physically active or strong you are, the more dominant you will come across. Now, moving on to the other side of the internal balance scale, we have what I call loving kindness. Like we mentioned earlier, if a guy can show his soft, gentle, playful side in the right way to a girl, in contrast to his dominant side, this will trigger attraction. Though this side of the scale is equally important as the other, I will admit that it's a bit easier to start doing immediately. The key is to be consistent. It's easy to show gentleness from time to time, it's a lot harder to do when you're stressed or frustrated. The first tip to strengthen this side of the scale is to acknowledge her feelings. Girls love it when you have the level of empathy to know when she's obviously feeling something. I'm not saying that you have to be able to read her mind, but when she's obviously upset or angry, acknowledge it. Something as simple as, "I see that you're upset, I'm sorry that I offended you. What can I do to put this behind us?" would do. When she's happy, you could say something like, "You're so happy right now. That's so awesome. I'm glad I could share this moment with you." Another tip is to show a basic level of emotional awareness, especially in regards to anger. One of my prior videos that I'll link here talked about building rapport, which goes over some of the basic tenets of emotional intelligence, but a way to display emotional awareness is to only get mad on purpose. Aristotle once said that anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to become angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, this is not easy. As guys with testosterone, some men are prone to angry outbursts for no apparent reason, which demonstrates a high lack of self-awareness. But anger is actually not an emotion to stifle or ignore. If you can manage it properly and use it purposefully, you can get results that greatly enhance your relationships with women. Expressing anger in appropriate ways communicates your strong feelings for her and reminds her of the gravity of the situation, whereas expressing anger too much or at the wrong time will cause her feelings to be hurt. So to summarize, today we discussed the secret to getting any girl, which I call internal balance. As discussed, internal balance is achieved by having both sides of dominance and loving kindness, which really just means that you can be both a powerful leader and have a playful inner child in equal amounts. Some tips to improve the dominant side of the scale include being a social leader, exuding dominant body language, and demonstrating physical prowess. Some ways to improve the loving kindness side of the scale include verbally acknowledging her feelings and to demonstrate emotional self-awareness in regards to tempering your anger and using it in the right way. Gentlemen, that's it for the video. I hope you learned something that you can start using immediately. If you found this video helpful, click here to subscribe for more weekly content. Until then, see you later.